Deadpool and Wolverine is finally among us, and for many people, this movie was supposed to be the deciding factor on the state of the MCU. If this wasn't any good, then Marvel should just quit now and just pack it up. Isn't that just sad? To think that the saving grace of the MCU is this guy, the character that literally makes fun of the universe that's around him. I don't know, I just think that's crazy. But anyhow, did Deadpool and Wolverine save the MCU? Well, let's talk about it. To start this off, I have to acknowledge this pet peeve that some fans have. Yes, there are tons of cameos in this movie, but for some reason, people are surprised. Like, I can understand being tired of the way cameos were used in past MCU projects. However, it's a Deadpool movie. If you are a fan, or at least aware of who Deadpool is, cameos are kind of expected at this point. They also serve an actual purpose here. This movie was the official send-off to the Marvel films of old, so of course they were going to fully utilize all the cameos they could get their hands on. Not only that, but in my opinion, this is the most Deadpool-like movie we have ever gotten. Don't get me wrong, I do like the first one better due to how we got the film, but just from the first couple minutes of this one, you see Deadpool in his purest form. In the comics, he's either a sad clown or freaking insane, and here we got both, but more the insanity part. This movie goes completely off the rails, and it wouldn't have worked with any other character. Now, the jokes are definitely a hit or miss depending on who you talk to, and if you do not like Deadpool's humor, you will probably not like the jokes here either. I thought the jokes were stupid, and I'm all here for it. There are jokes about Fox, about the current state of the MCU, and mostly dudes touching other dudes. So I can understand someone not liking them that much, but I thought they were great. But now let's get to the real deal here, which is Wolverine. First things first, they deal with the events of Logan in a way that I can only describe as hilarious and fitting for a movie like this. But for those fans out there who were worried about them just getting rid of the events of Logan completely, don't worry, they get around that and give a good explanation because this Wolverine is not the one that we've been following for the past 2 decades. Also, his suit is magnificent. They finally put my boy in a comic accurate suit and it looks amazing. Now, Wolverine is completely different here than in any other Marvel movie that he is in. He is way more vicious and angry. This is the kind of portrayal that I've been looking for with Wolverine. He even fights a bit cooler, but I'm not going to say too much because it'll lead straight into spoilers. The only thing I will say is that the reason he is so miserable is actually not as interesting as I thought it was going to be, but that's a small price to pay for the amount of fan service that this man gets. This movie was clearly a love letter to Wolverine, but also to the rest of the Fox universe, which I can appreciate because not a lot of people look at them fondly anymore. Now, the villain, Cassandra Nova. I remember when she was first shown in the trailer, I was excited to see her, but I had this thought in the back of my mind telling me that they weren't going to use her like how she's used in the comics, especially since her and Deadpool have nothing to do with each other. So I was led to believe that she had something to do with Wolverine's past, but no, she's kind of just a ringleader of a team of buffoons. Yeah, that kind of let me down a bit, but what more can you ask for her to do in a story without Charles Xavier? That's kind of her own thing, but her powers were pretty cool. Now, will this be the last Deadpool movie? I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a great send-off to most of these characters, but due to this movie's success, that could be up in the air. Deadpool and Wolverine will definitely come back in future projects. That ain't a question. However, I would be fine if this is the last Deadpool movie. And however you want to slice it, it was a damn good movie. It was so much fun to watch. I've seen certain people say that this movie wasn't good at all, just because of the amount of cameos. That, to me, just sounds crazy. Since when did we forget that we are allowed to have fun at these movies? Even if you hate Deadpool, you gotta say that this movie was awesome, flaws and all. Before we wrap this up, let's answer the big question on everyone's mind. Did Deadpool and Wolverine save the MCU? No, it did not. Now, I know this was a great one, but one movie doesn't decide the fate of a whole franchise. The MCU decline didn't happen due to one film. I don't even think the MCU is dead, like a lot of dramatic fans want to say, but it definitely isn't as good as it used to be. The multiverse saga hasn't been exactly that. This movie and Spider-Man No Way Home are exactly what I wanted to see come out of the multiverse saga. So if Mr. Kevin can really see what made this movie work and what made it such a wild ride and show more of this in other films, then after a couple of bangers, we can have this discussion again on whether the MCU can make a comeback. But if you want my opinion, our fan base is way too toxic to just enjoy certain things. It doesn't matter what they come up with in the future, they're gonna find something to complain about. Deadpool 3 was a perfect example of just sit back and have fun. Hell, last week they announced RDJ's return as Doctor Doom, and the fans that were crying for his return are now saying that Marvel's so desperate and they're gonna ruin Iron Man. Like, this isn't the freaking multiverse saga. Anything can happen. But that is a video for another time. Deadpool and Wolverine as a Deadpool movie is a 10 out of 10. But as a Marvel movie, I'm gonna give it a nice 8.5 out of 10.